Aloha, Richard Halverson here. This is ITS148, and today I'm going to do assignment 4 on stacks and queues. So let me share my screen. And so it's this one here. And what we're supposed to do here is, if you read chapter 19 of the textbook, you learn about these abstract data types. In more advanced programming classes like this one and the next one, there's a bunch of basic abstract data types that you should learn. Trees is another one. There's a bunch of them that are made out of lists, and by lists I mean well, it's like a Python list, but a Python list is really more like an array. But anyway, but there are certain added methods that you can add to a list to make it behave like a stack, and to make it behave like a queue, and to make it behave like a deck. And maybe it's called Deque, I don't know. But anyway, so with this assignment, you're going to implement the class, the stack class, and the queue class, and the deck class, but you're going to implement them in Python. They're actually like way easier in Python than they are in any other programming language, because the list data type in Python is so general and actually has all the functions built in, but you just have to rename them. So this is all about figuring out what the queue, for example, what the queue name is. These functions enqueue and dequeue and isEmpty and peek and getLength. You just have to figure out what the Python list methods are, built-in list methods are to implement these functions when the list is being used to implement these particular abstract data types. These are there's 3 abstract data types: a stack, a queue, and a deck. And they can be implemented in various ways underneath. And it makes more sense to talk about that in other languages, because we have arrays and then we have linked lists. And but in Python, if you're using lists, there's no reason to ever have a linked list, because the list data type is just such a versatile data type. And so anyway, so that's what makes this assignment so easy in Python. So it's a great assignment because it's easy, but it would be a much more difficult assignment in any other programming language. So what we're going to do is just create 3 files: stack.py, queue.py, and deck.py, and we're going to copy these in there, and we're going to implement each one of these. You have to implement each one of these functions. And this is just to test it. This is all test code. So you're supposed to actually get these running, and then you're supposed to jazz up the testing down here to make sure that everything works. And then you just leave your stuff up there, and you run the grading assignment thing down here, these ones to test them. So let's have at it. Open up my cPanel, and I go to my file manager, go to assignments, create a 4. Oops. Create a directory called 4. And inside 4, create a file called stack.py and queue.py and deck.py. And let's go into stack. and go over here and grab this stack. Copy this, go back over to stack and paste it. And we can save it. And we just have to put the list function, the list method here that will do what this asks. You take an item and you want to push it onto the list. And you pop, and then this empty test peeking. Pushing actually adds an element onto the list. Popping actually returns an element. It tells you what passes back the element, and it deletes it. A peek passes back the element but does not delete it. Okay, so peeking is like just looking at it. Popping is like popping it off. And a stack, you should read the textbook, but a stack is like you add stuff onto the stack at the same end as you take stuff off the stack. You push stuff onto the stack and you pop stuff off the stack, and it's both on the same. It's on the same end. All right, so that's that. Save the changes. Let's go back to here and grab the Q class. And go back over here and open up Q. And save this. And so a queue is you add stuff to the queue on one end and you take stuff off the queue on the other end. So there's you add stuff on the back of the queue and you take stuff off on the front of the queue. It's like a line, waiting line. So that's that. And then let's go back to here and grab Deque. So Deque has everything. Copy it over here. Paste it and save it. So we have to figure out what all these functions are. All right. All right, so I'll do most of them. Maybe I'll do two of them, and you got to finish the last one or something. All right, so maybe I'll leave. I'd like to finish one so you can see what it looks like. But all right, so let's first of all, let's go over to the textbook, and let's look in stacks and queues. And so we talk about the stack abstract data type, the queue abstract data type, and the Deque. Does that tell you how we pronounce it in here? Pronounced Deque. Okay, like a deck of cards. Okay, double-ended queue. This explains how a Deque works, and then there are these functions. You make sure you understand the functions, and here they all are. These are the functions that you have to implement. These functions, and for a stack, it is. Got to go through this. Got to check all these off. I'm sure you're all doing it. Let's see how. So this explains, make sure you understand how a stack works. And here's the list of common stack abstract data type operations. Now, if you were implementing this in any other language but Python, we would have to learn, we'd have to spend some time learning about linked lists. And linked lists have heads and tails. And, and you're going to be doing all kinds of this stuff when we're doing trees. Okay? The trees is like a list, except for trees got two coming out of it. It's a parent and children and all that. So, and also with lists, it's easy to get traversed down the list, but it's hard to traverse back up the list. And so you can have doubly linked lists. And then it gets tricky on how you actually implement them underneath, because you have to have these next pointers and so on. But anyway, we don't have to worry about any of that in when we're using Python and we're doing lists. We will have to start worrying about that when we do trees, though. So that's when you learn about making lists. Yes. All right. So so let's so you should read this and click through it so you understand about that. But really, this assignment, we are implementing, here's queues. We implement the abstract data type operations. Okay, so and then so we need that, and then we also need what the list. This is Dex. Do we have lists back here somewhere? Lists and dictionaries, list methods. So these are the list methods for the Python list data type. Insert is going to be a popular one because we can use insert to put stuff at the beginning of the list. We can use append to put stuff at the back of the list. But if you want to put something on the front of the list and basically push everything else down, we use this insert. Append adds something to the tail end of the list. We don't just extend, just adds more than one item, so we're going to need that. Let's see, we're going to probably use this one. We're probably going to use this one. We're probably going to use this one. This removes off the first item of the list. Oh no, this looks for an item on the list whose value is X and then removes that one. We don't care about that, but we do care about this. This removes and returns the last item on the list. This will remove and return the item at position I. And so we can use this to remove and return the first item on the list by making I 0. So this is how we remove something at the back end of the list. This is how we remove something at the front end of the list by making this value 0. Okay, so that we're going to use that one. And we don't need any of, well, count. We're going to use count because we want to know we're going to use count for like get length. And we're also going to use count for is empty because we're going to look at the count. If the count is 0, then it is empty. Otherwise, we just return the count with this one. So those are very easy. In fact, let's go through these and let's add the is empty and add the get length to all 3 of them because they all have that. So okay, so first of all, let's start out. Let's go look at stack. That's the easiest, simplest one. Okay, so this is the program here that runs. First of all, this is the stack class. And the data in the stack class is just a plain old list. It's just a Python list. And we're naming it list, okay? So we initialize an empty stack. And then, so list is the name of the thing. And so let's do get length because get length for lists is count. No, not count. Oh, it's just length. Oh my God. This is counting the number of times that X appears in the list. All we care about is length, LEN. So that's just really simple. Let's go over back over here. And so this is return len of self.list. That's it. I don't need to pass anymore. And and count. Oh, I mean, let. And is empty is this. It's return, and I'm going to put an expression here. I'm going to put an expression that's going to evaluate to true or false. The expression is that the len of self dot list, that the length is equal to 0. So if the length of the list is equal to 0, then this is going to be true. It's going to return true. And so you're looking at to see if the list is empty. And if the list is not equal to 0, that means it's greater than 0, then it's going to return false. And that's what you want. All right, so that's a stack. Let's see about, I might as well just finish this up. Okay, what's pushing? I'm going to push something to the front of this list. And I'm going to, or do we push it onto the back of the list? I think we pushed it onto the front of the list. Let me check my, see, the other thing is that you can think about these things where you push it onto the back of the list or you push it onto the front of the list, but you just have to be consistent. See, so it's got to work correctly with all the operations. And where is, I want to open up my assignment 4. What did this? Oh yeah, push it up, everything goes in the front. Okay, so you push down to the front of the list. So it's this one, and we're gonna insert X into the list before position I. So position, so I want it to be pushed, inserted into the list before position 0. So that would be self list dot insert, just such bad memory, this copy. See here, look, insert, inserts right there, but I'm going to do 0 because I want it to be at the very beginning. I'm just going to do, so it would be like, it would be this, except for I is going to be, this is the index, it's going to be 0, and X is going to be new item because that's what I'm inserting. This is what I'm inserting, and I'm inserting at that index, and it's not list, I got to say self.list. Because it's this. Okay, so this just inserts, it just pushes it onto the beginning, pops it off. So I want to pop it off the front of the list, and what do I say? That's just a plain old pop, I think. Oh, this is last item. Oh, okay, so it's got to be this one, and I got to say the index then. So popping is, I'm returning self.that, and this is 0. And so pop actually removes it and hands it back, returns it, and moves it. And so this is there. Oh, what's peak? Peak is I'm just looking at it. So I'm not popping it, I'm just looking. And so that would be, oh, it's the 0th item. So it's return self list. That just returns the value at the 0th index. It doesn't remove it, just says what it is. All right, so I have completed stack. So I'm going to save this and I'm going to run it. Go to cPanel, go down to terminal, and go to CD assignments 4 ls-l, and there's stack. So Python 3 stack.py. Item to insert on top of stack. Okay, 10, 20, 30, 40. And then if I just hit enter, does it stop? Yes, okay. So first I pushed 10. So this is index 0, 1, 2, 3. So it pushes a 10, pushes a 20, 30, 40. So then when it pops something off, it pops off the 40, and then it pops off 30, and what's left is 10, 20. Now I'm actually supposed to add code to test all the methods. Okay, so I got to add code to test all the methods. So I'm going to say, let's see, I'm going to pop some stuff. Okay, so I push until I ask for items. And I push them until the item that is given to me is just an empty string. In other words, just the guy just hits the enter key. And then this outputs the stack after the pushes, and then I'm going to print. I'm going to print get length. Is get length, comma, oh, it's called my stack. My stack dot get length. Okay, so this is the length of the stack, and I'm going to say this also. Is empty. And this will be is empty. It's this is empty. And I'm going to do that here, and I'm going to do it down here. Okay, now save changes, and let's run this again. 100, 200, and that's all. So does that get length is 2, is empty is false, and it removes 200, removes 100. After it's done, it's nothing. Get length is 0, and is empty is true. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, so now how would I run this through this thing? I guess I would go like this. I do this so you can see how long it actually takes. So if you're sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting, it's not finishing, then you know it's not anything is wrong. But also I want to see if it does work, because I might have to extend the timeout, which I had to do for a previous one. Oh, 10 points. Good deal. Okay, so what do? I create this test program, and it's got this test data. Well, no, I push a bunch of stuff. Oh, this is the data. Okay, very good. Anyway, it works. Fantastic. So that's stack. Now you got to do queue. And So, okay, so you already have these. Now you already have this and this. Now, do we put stuff on the push stuff onto the front of the queue or the back of the queue? This one is queue. Inserts at end of queue. Oh no, you push stuff on the end of the. Okay, yeah, of course. Push stuff on the end of the queue. And the front is 43, and when you add to the queue, you put it on the end, and when you take stuff off, you dequeue the queue, you pull stuff off the front. Okay, so let's whip these out. Oh, first of all, let's go ahead and take this and get length is this on every one of them. So let's just put get length and get length. And so is empty. Is empty. Is empty. Okay. And so we got to do these peaks and pops and pushes. Okay, let's do the queue first. Peak. So we're peaking at the front. Peaking at the front. Well, that's the same as a stack peak, isn't it? So I'm just going to grab this stack peak. This is peaking from the front. You take stuff off the queue off the front. Right? Peak returns but does not remove the item at the front of the queue. Okay, I'm on it. And there must be an equivalent deck. Peak front. Hey, peak front. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. All right. What's next? All right, NQ means you're putting stuff on the back of the queue, and so that would be like appending, right? Putting stuff on the back of the queue. Here, add item to the end of the list. That's this one. So this can be NQ. NQ. And it's not, it's new item. Oh, and it's self. All right. DQ is popping stuff off the front. That's the same as popping stuff off the front. That's the same as this, I swear. Because where's stack? I was looking at stack somewhere. Okay, anyway. All right, so that's what's Q? Well, Q, this is popping up the front. It's popping is dequeuing is all right. So I've done NQ, I've done NQ, I've done DQ. Am I done? I'm gonna save the changes and just take a sneak peek here. All right, I'll save you the wait. All right. So this worked. Okay, so what's left? All these. You can do these. Push front is pushing something on the front of the queue, just like a stack. It's pushing like a stack. Push back is just like adding something at the back of the queue, like NQing. Okay, you're adding it at the back of the queue. Make sure. Okay, and pop front, just this popping off the front, just like you're dequeuing, or just like you're popping off the stack. Popping off the back is pulling off the back. That's not very common. Okay, I don't know where that's ever used before, but it's in a deck. So let's just confirm that. Inserts, push front, inserts at the front of the deck. Push back, inserts at the back of the deck. So NQing. Pop front, returns and removes from the front of the queue. It's like popping off the back, removes from the back of the queue. That's weird. Okay, but you do that. All right. And then peak front returns but does not remove what's on the front. Peak back returns but does not remove what's on the back. Okay, so so you can fill those in, because you know more. The only one you might not have is pop back. So what would pop back be? You are popping, so you just got to put the last one in there. So that's like the length of the list minus 1 or something like that. Length of the list minus 1. So anyway, that's what it is. Okay, well, so that shows you how to do assignment 4. I left a little bit there for you to do at the end. All right, so hope this helps. Thanks for watching.